Welcome to the solutions for the financial arithmetic test. So without further ado, let's get stuck into them. Okay, so to start with the multiple choice, Rosie is waiting until next week to purchase a TV from Big V as they are having a 12% off everything sale. How much will she pay for the TV? Normally marked at $550. So for this one here, let's go to the calculator. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. A 12% off everything sale means that she pays 88% of the price. So you could go 88 over 100 multiplied by 550, and it tells you that the price should be 484. Conversely, what many of you would have done is gone 12 over 100 times 550 to get you 66, which is the discount, and then done 550 take away 66 to give you 484. So 484 was the answer, D. Daniel is charged at an interest rate of 9.96 per annum compounding quarterly. The quarterly rate is closest to. Okay, so quarterly means 4 times a year. So to work this one out, we're going to do 9.96 divided by 4. 2.49, the closest is this one here, 2.5. Jessie purchased some fancy cheese from the supermarket that was advertised for $12.95 with GST. What is the amount of GST that was added? Okay, so this one here, what you needed to do was take the price of the goods with GST added and divide by 1.1 as the notes suggest. Alright, so that indicates that the price before GST was $11.77, and this one says what is the amount of the GST that was added. So what you needed to do was then do $12.95 take away $11.77, and it was $1.18. Alright, Rosie used her credit card to buy an airline ticket to South America on July the 26th. 20th day of the 30-day statement period, and an additional 15 minutes of interest-free period after this. And she wanted to pay the credit card bill on September the 1st. Okay, so we're after how many days will she pay interest? So let's work out the interest-free period. Okay, so 10th day of the 30-day statement period means there is 10 left of the interest-free plus the 15 interest-free here. Okay. So now let's have a look at when she bought it, July the 26th. So let's consider July and how many days it is. 30 days has September, April, June and November. So July has 31. Then let's consider the next month after July, which is August. 30 days has September, April, June and November. So August also has 31. Alright, so what's left in July? Okay, so if she bought it on the 26th, then it's the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, 30th and the 31st. Okay, so that's 5 days that she will pay, or that are 5 days on from July through to August. So the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, the 30th and the 31st, 5 days. Now that is 31 also in August, so 5 and 31 makes 36. And what we're going to do is subtract the interest-free days, which is 25. So 36 take away 25 leaves us 11, which was this one here. So a lot of work for that one. Alright, this one here, graph right, shows the growth in value of an investment, $4,000 over a period of 5 years. In total, the amount of interest earned on Daniel's investment after 5 years is. So we can clearly see that Daniel actually invested $4,000. After 5 years, it's worth $4,500. So the amount of interest earned is this amount here, the difference between 400 or 4,000 rather and 4,500. That's $500. Alright, a personal loan has a flat rate of interest of 12.25%, and what we're looking at is an approximation of effective. Now the formula to do this, or the way to get an approximation, is R effective is approximately 2 times RF. That is double the flat rate, and you get a pretty good approximation of the effective rate. So double this is 24.5, and the only one even in the vicinity is this 25. Alright, Mr. Pierce does not trust banks. So back in 07 he buried savings of 10 grand in his backyard in a Ziploc bag. And recently he was doing some gardening and was excited to find the money. And what we're interested in is this thing here, the purchasing power of his $10,000, assuming that inflation over the last 10 years has averaged 2.9%. So if this is the case, the purchasing power of the $10,000 is going to go down, okay, because everything else since 2007 has risen in price. So that $10,000 from a few years ago is not worth as much now. Okay, it doesn't have as much purchasing power. So the only answers that are acceptable are these ones less than $10,000. Okay, right. The way to do this one is to use the compound interest formula, and what we're going to do is say 10,000 equals an amount multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate, 2.9 over 100 to the power of 10, because it's been 10 years. And if you want to imagine what this does is actually, instead of being inflation, what this does, it'll, and I don't know whether this is a correct mathematical word or what, but it actually deflates the currency. Okay, so what it will do is bring it down to, you know, what it would be worth 10 years later, or it deflates it. Okay, so to do this one here, you're going to go over to your calculator and use solve. 1,000 10,000 rather equals x times 1 plus 2.9 over 100 to the power of 10 comma x, 7,513, which is that one right there. Alright, this very last one was a bit of a tricky one, although anyway, those girls in my class did pretty well on this one. The answer's this one here, which is C. Let's have a look why. Jesse invests $5,000 for 2 years at an interest rate of 5.6 per annum, compounding monthly. Alright, so that means that this one here is going to have 2 years worth of monthly compounds, so it's going to have 24 compounds in total, with an interest rate 5.6 that has been split 12 ways. So let's have a look, and the only actually one that's acceptable is this one here. 24 compounds with 5.6 split 12 ways. No, none of the other ones have that, so we know that that's the answer straight away. Alright, so on to the short answer questions. What we're going to do first of all is a percentage increase. So if you looked at your notes, you would have found that there's a pretty easy way to do this. We're going to start with the 200 and we're going to multiply by 100 plus 15 over 100, and I think from memory that'll be 230. Here we're going to decrease 40 by 32.5, so the way we do this is go 40 multiplied by 100, take away 32.5 over 100, and from memory that one was 27. Okay, Daniel received simple interest at a rate of 7.2% per annum, investing 1,500, would like to know how much interest he earned at the end of 1 year. And his calculations are these ones here. Okay, so Daniel has made one mistake in the second line of his working out, so it's in this line here. What is the mistake? And what he's done is written 12 months in 1 year, but should have used 1 instead of 12. So anything like that. Many of you said something like, that he put the time in months rather than years, or T needs to be in years. So we're pretty loose on that one. So correct the mistake and state the correct value of his investment after 1 year. So it should have been 1,500 times 7.2 times 1 over 100 equals, and again, I can't calculate that in my head, but I just remember that the answer was 108. That was your first mark there. Your second mark then came from this, which was calculating the value of his investment. So what you needed to do was put 1500 plus 108, which was 1608, as the value for his investment. So that was where the second mark came from. Alright, what is the simple interest rate if 8,000 earns 3,040 interest in 4 years? Alright, so we know that the formula for simple interest is I equals PRT over 100. So what we're going to do is, they tell us what the interest is, and it's 8,000 multiplied by a rate multiplied by 4 all over 100, and what you're going to do is use solve on this one to get the rate. So let's go over to the calculator. The answer is 9.5, I think, from memory, but let's do it again anyway. 340 equals 8,000 times x times 4 over 100. Let's just bracket that up to make sure it does the correct order of ops. Over 100, comma x, 19 on 2, and if you run another approximation on that, 9.5%. Now, 2,500 is invested at an interest rate of 8.1 per annum for 5 years, compounding annually. So this is compound interest. So we need the compound formula. A equals P times 1 plus R on 100, N or T or whatever you want to use there. Okay, so here what we're going to do is say the amount, the value for investment is the amount invested multiplied by 1 plus 8.1 over 100 to the 5. A equals, so we're going to go 2,500 multiplied by 1 plus 8.1 over 100 all to the power of 5, and the answer was 3690.36. Alright, a lot of people rounded that to 3540, etc, etc, but yeah, it's just implied, girls, that you need to round that to 2 decimal places because it's a financial figure. And 36 cents is the value for the investment, not 35, okay, but 36. So how much interest did the investment earn? So what we're going to do is say 3690.36, subtract the amount invested, which is 2,500, and that'll be $1,190.36. How long would it take for the investment of 2,500 to double, become 5,000? So this one here, we're going to go 5,000 equals 2,500 multiplied by 1 plus the rate, which was, what was it, 8.1 over 100 to the x, that is time, okay, and x equals. Alright, so this is the amount, or the amount of years it'll take. So it's going to be 5,000 equals 2,500 multiplied by 1 plus 8.1 over 100 to the power of x, and solving for x. Okay, so it says 8.89 years. So x is equal to 8.89 ... Now that means that if I say the answer is 8, okay, after 8 years, it's not going to be enough. 8.89, well, it compounds every year, okay, it doesn't compound at 0.89 of a year. So actually the answer is therefore after 9 years to get the full marks for that one. Alrighty, the following table shows the value of an investment of $400 each year for 3 years. Compound A could be the value of the investment using either simple or compound. This could be either simple or compound. So let's have a look and work out which one's which. So column A then jumps by 40 each time, and because it's a regular rate of interest, that is 40, doesn't change, that is simple. This jumps by 40, then 44, and then by more than 44. So this is compound. Okay, which column represents the better investment option? A lot of you went for the lower one here, saying that it was less interest charged, but this is an investment. When you invest money, you want the most amount of money possible. So the correct answer is column B, and the reason for that is more return on investment or something similar. Okay, so again, we're pretty flexible on that one. Alright, so on to the application questions, and this was pretty heavily weighted. The bank statement below shows Mr. Miller's transactions for savings account that earns simple interest at a rate of 3.9% per annum on the minimum monthly balance. Okay, so let's just check this out. Okay, so state the opening balance of his account. That's this one here. This is what it started with. So it's an easy one, 150. Complete the table by inserting missing values indicated by the shaded boxes. So what happened here was a purchase, okay, or a debit, okay, and what happened is the balance went down to $95, which means that this withdrawal or the purchase must have been $55. Okay, then there was a cash withdrawal. So the balance is 95, cash withdrawal is $40. And so what we're left with is $55 here in the account. Wages were paid, $340 plus the existing balance means that he would have had $395 in there. So they're the two missing things. Calculate the interest earned by Mr. Miller in the month of August. So we know that the minimum monthly balance is here, 55. Okay, so it would have been 55 multiplied by the interest, which is 1/12 of the per annum interest rate, 3.9. Okay, and yeah, let's do that on the calculator over here. So we've got 55 multiplied by 1 on 12 multiplied by 3.9. And we need to divide that by 100. So that is over 100 because we're doing I equals PRT over 100. And that means that it is 0.17875 or roughly, so I'm going to do squiggly, 0.18 cents. Okay, Ms. Spreckley is considering purchasing a new car, and the 07 base model Volkswagen goes for that. The price of the base model is to increase at an inflation rate of 2.9% per annum, and if it's going to do that for 3 years, we're just going to use the compound interest. So the price or the amount that the car will be worth is 3,4,500 multiplied by 1 plus 2.9 over 100 to the 3, A equals 3,4,500 times 1 plus 2.9 over 100, all to the power of 3. And it's going to be worth $37,589.38. Again, heaps of you chose to round that, but no, that needs to be stated to 2 decimal places. So how much would the price of the Volkswagen increase in 3 years? What you had to do was then take the 3-year increased amount, 9.38, take away 34,500, and what we've got is a value now of $3,089.38 increase. Alright, got some investment options here for Ms. Gabriel. Here we've got $8,000 invested for 5 years, and it could be invested at 5.3 compounding yearly, 5.2 compounding monthly, or 5.5 simple. Okay, So what we're going to do is work out the amount of the investment after 5 years. So it is A equals 8,000 multiplied by 1 plus 5.3 over 100 to the 5, and that is a value of the investment of 10356.94. Alright, so $10,356.94. Alright, at Bank B, okay, so A equals 8,000 times 1 plus, now it's 5.2 compounding monthly, so we've got to split that 5.2 across 12 months. And to accommodate for it being split over 12 months, it's 5 years worth of 12 payments. So 5 12s, it's got to be raised to the 60. Alright, so it's 8,000 times 1 plus 5.2 over 12 over 100 to the power of 60. And looks like we've got a new winner here, 10369.61. Alright, the last one is the simple interest option. Okay, so it's going to be I equals PRT over 100. I equals 8,000 times the rate, which is 5.5, times 5 years over 100. And I can't remember that one. I'm going to have to work that one out. It's 8,000 multiplied by 5.5 multiplied by 5 over 100. 2,200. Heaps of you left it at just that and got half a mark because it's the value of the investment, the total amount of the investment. So you needed to add the 2,200 on to the original 8,000, so the amount is 10,200. Alright, so looking at this is the best option, okay, even though this has the highest interest rate, even though this has the higher interest rate, in fact it's the lowest interest rate with the most compounds that is the winner in this situation. So, provide a recommendation. She should invest in Bank B because earns most interest. Okay, so there had to be some justification there. You couldn't just say Bank B. Alright, so not many of my girls did particularly well in this question. It's a difficult one because it is hire purchase or time payments, and they are difficult questions. The fridge is priced, so yeah, unfortunately Mr. Birchick's fridge broke down and he enters into this hire purchase scheme to get a new one. Fridge priced at $2,550, paid a deposit of that and repayments of $60 a month for 5 years. So the total cost of him buying the fridge by hire purchase is his deposit, which is $550, plus, that's a plus sign, $60 worth of 5 years of 12 repayments. Okay, so let's work it out. 550, which is the deposit, plus $60 a month for 5 years worth of 12 months, or 60 months. That doesn't look right. A little bit big. Wrote a multiply instead of a plus. Again, if you're good enough to detect that that's a very expensive fridge, $1,980,000 fridge, yeah, then you know what, you just go to what did I do wrong kind of thing. That looks a little bit better. So Mr. Birchick's fridge is actually going to cost him $4,150. Alright, so I gave you the answer to this next question here. I want you to find out the flat rate, or show that it is 16%. So I'm telling you, when you work it out, it's going to be 16%. So RF, the flat rate of interest, equals 100 multiplied by the amount of interest. Now, how do we work that out? It's the amount I paid back, subtract the original value of the fridge, which is $2,550, over the what's it over? Let's just see if we can remember the formula. The flat rate of interest is 100 multiplied by I over PT, principal, and time. Okay. All right. So we need to work out the principal. That is how much did he make the payments against? That is the interest rate versus how much he kind of borrowed. Now, if the fridge is priced at this amount here, 2550, a lot of people think that that's the principal, but we've got to remove the deposit from that, the 550, because that's kind of what he borrowed against, was the 2,550 take away 550, the deposit. Okay, and then multiply by time. Well, this is a derivative, or a not a derivative, but a transposed version of the simple interest formula, and time is in years, so we multiply by 5. So if this all works out, what I should get as an answer is 16. So let's do it. Control divide. We're going to do 100 multiplied by 4150, take away 2,550, all over. Brackets 2550, take away 550, multiplied by 5. 16. There it is. What's the effective rate of interest per annum paid by Mr. Birchick to 2 decimal places? Well, the formula for effective is the flat rate of interest multiplied by 2n over n plus 1, where n is number of payments. Okay, so now what we're going to do is approximate what the answer should be. It should be roughly 32%, because double 16 is 32. So we're going to have 16 multiplied by 2 lots of 60, because it's 5 12, 60 payments, over 60 plus 1. 16 times, that's 120 over 61, which is almost 2, so you can see why. And R effective is 16 times 120 over 61. And we're going to force it to do the divide first. Control Enter. And the answer is 31.48%. Alright, Mr. O'Neill has a credit card with an interest-free period, and interest is then charged on the outstanding balance at a rate of 19.5% per annum. Goes clothes shopping and pays $950 on his credit card. He then pays $600 off by the due date, so the outstanding balance is simply $950 take $600, which means that he'll have $350 left to pay off on the credit card. So he paid the remaining balance 44 days after the interest-free period. That is, he's going to get charged 44 days of interest. So the amount that he pays back is going to be 350 multiplied by 1 plus 19.5 over 365, because it's daily interest, over 100 to the power of 44. Okay, so 350 multiplied by 1 plus 19.5 over 365 over 100 to the power of 44, and the value is 358.32. Now, that's not how much interest Mr. O'Neill must pay. That's the difference between this amount here and what he owed, which is 350. So interest equals $8.32. So not a bad deal, only $8.32 to get his nice new threads to wear. So check him out and see whether he is indeed looking a little bit sharper coming up, because yeah, he's got some new gear to wear. Alright, so they're the answers. If there's any problems, see me or your teacher if you want to see if you can try to spring us for a few more marks.